Coordinating it.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Cindy
And Christy,
at Candles and Supplies, and today we are going to show you how to auto-wick your molds, so it's much easier for you to make those pillar and novelty candles that everyone loves, but everyone hates to make. So we have an easy way. Give us a shout out if you're out there and you can hear us and everything. So just make sure all of our technology is working, because sometimes it fails us. I'm sure we're on the chat here.
he's on the side.
No comments. Sorry. Caption. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if you can hear us, let us know you're out there. Tell us who you are, where you're from. That would be awesome too. That way everybody knows. A little extra plug if you have a business and stuff too, you can put it in there. So, all right. Well, the reason that this was inspired, we got a lot of fun new Halloween molds that you'll see on Friday's email. So we're just putting them up on our site now, and they're super fun. So we're going to kind of show you some of these and how you wick the molds and everything. So that way, hopefully, it won't scare you from buying them or anything. So, yeah. So I when I first started making pillars, they were fun at first, and then I think I quit for like a year, because I didn't like wicking the molds. I didn't like the molds leaking. It really made me mad. It was hard. And then I discovered or figured out, or I don't know how I came across it, the auto-wicking method, where you only have to wick the mold once. And then once you pull the candle out, the wick pulls itself through the mold, and it's automatically wicked for the next time. So, all right, seeing lots of people out there, so everybody can hear us good and everything. So, awesome. So the way this works is when you're doing a mold, usually you don't use a pre-tab wick. You can use a pre-tab wick and use a wick pin and everything. That works great. We have another video on that shows that, but not in this video. We're showing you how to wick the mold. And there's a whole lot of all different kinds of shapes and sizes and fun molds out there that you can use, especially for the holidays. Body candles have been a big seller too. So I thought that was a trend that was going to last about 2 months, but it's still going strong. So, body candles, you can do this with the body candles and everything. You can't use pre-tab wicks in them, so it makes it more difficult than making a typical container candle. You want to use wicking on the roll. So this applies to any size, type, shape candle, metal molds, plastic molds. We're going to demonstrate on a silicone mold and a plastic mold. But the way you would do it for like a metal mold is the same. You just can't see it as well. It's not demonstrated as easily as if I use a plastic mold. So we're going to demonstrate on that first, because that's the easiest one to do. So set our stuff aside. Graceful as usual, I am. All right. So this is a plastic mold. The easiest way, what you want to do is get your whole roll of wicking. So you just need a mold, your roll of wicking, whatever size works best. A piece of floral wire, and this is designed for like a mold that already has a hole in it, so that you can just thread the hole through. So, and it's just regular floral wire, whatever you have, any type of wire that's thin is going to get through the hole, where you don't have to drill it any bigger. So what you're going to do is you're going to stick your floral wire through the bottom of the mold.
So she folded it over, so there's like a little loop at the end.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's why you're here. She's coming back. So I just cut a piece of floral wire, and then I just folded it in half, so it works like a threader. So initially we're trying to make like a threader here. So imagine threading a needle, only it's a much bigger needle because it's a mold. And we'll put the floral wire, I messed it all up because I folded it twice. We'll put the floral wire through the hole in the mold.
You can refold it the other way. There we go.
Okay. And what that does, it creates a little loop at the top where I'm just going to thread my wick through. I'm going to keep it on the spool. I'm not going to cut a length. I'm going to keep it on the spool. So your spool always hangs out of the mold.
Oh,
oops. So I'm going to.
Slippery too.
It is slippery. Yeah. I want to have it tight. So I just put the wicking.
Could you tie it here? I guess you wouldn't go down.
You could, yeah. Then you wouldn't be able to get it through the mold though. So you don't really want to tie it. So it just threads it up through here. So the wicking is outside the mold. And then for the plastic mold, I would take a piece of mold seal. And this is just high temp black sticky stuff we have on our site. And what this does, it's going to go right over the hole of the mold so that it doesn't leak our wax out, right? So I'm just gonna take a piece of that, just a little piece, you know, and I'm gonna work it in between my fingers to kind of make it warm, and I wanna flatten it out. So think about making like a dime size piece, right? And what this does, you just need it big enough to block the hole so that the wax doesn't come out when you pour it in.
That'd be bad. They would mess.
It would
the whole
be.
thing.
It would be a thing, yeah. And then I just put this right on the outside of the mold, right over top of where the hole is, and just get it to stick. You don't have to press real hard or anything, just kind of smear it out, get it flat. You always want the bottom of the mold to be flat, right? Because if it's tipping and stuff, then your candle's not gonna be, it's not gonna be flat on the bottom, so flatten it out.
Or it might fall over when you're pouring it.
It might fall over when you're pouring it and everything too. Try to get it as flat as possible. And then theoretically that should hold the wax in, but it's really frustrating when you pour a candle and the wax leaks out all over the place, right? So I usually take a piece of duct tape and make a little square and put that right over top. And I try to get all the air out, put it right over top of my mold seal.
It's a little extra insurance.
It's just my extra insurance policy so that it's nice and tight. So what I've created here, and then, so the wick is all sustained in the bottom. And then we'll put a wick bar at the top. Thread that through. And here's a little secret. So sometimes your wick will fray and it doesn't want to thread through your wick bar or anything. So what you can do is just kind of prime the wick. You'll have my wax plugged in. You can just dip this in melted wax and kind of prime the wick, and it'll be easier to thread through. So,
or you can use your spit like I normally do.
Yeah. So we want to get the wick sustained at the top too, because we always want the wicks to be nice and straight in the candle. Wicks that are bent or whatever, so you can see this demonstrates it great. If you don't have it tight at the top, it's going to bend into an S shape, and then your candle's going to burn all wonky. You don't want to do that. You want it to burn nice and straight. So just put the wick through, pull it nice and tight.
Yeah, especially with the pellet candle, since you don't have it kind of contained. So if your wick's like this and then it's burnt like this, then you really have a whole mess.
Exactly. And then I just take just a regular straight pin and I push it right through the wick so that it keeps it tight on the top. So this is what we have. It's nice and tight. Straight pins through there. Nice and tight. The wick's not going to go anywhere. I can pour the wax in and everything. So what happens, the magic of this is, so this is all wicked and everything. If we pour the wax in here, it's going to make a candle when it hardens. That's the idea. And then what we would do to get the candle out is we would take all this off. So I take the wick pin off and take the mold seal off. And when we pull the candle out, since it's attached to the wick, it's automatically wicking it for the next one. So all I would do when the candle comes out, we're just going to pretend that this wick pin is a candle. We'll show you on a silicone mold. Hopefully that'll come off nicely. Right. So when you pull the candle out, see it's wicking the mold again. And then you just have to put your mold seal on here. You don't have to go through all that other stuff. You can reuse that or another candle, pull it out. So you can just keep doing that just by keeping the roll of wick on there.
Saves you time.
Saves a lot of time. Yeah. So where this really, really saves time. So this was easy. There's a nice hole in there. The wick goes through nice and everything because it's a plastic mold. Metal molds work the same way. The trick comes in the silicone molds. But the silicone molds are what's a lot of fun because
Fun shapes.
there's all kinds of fun shapes and stuff like that. So what I do for silicone molds, it's a lot of the same thing. We're just stepping up our game a bit here. So silicone molds are self-sealing, right? You don't have to use the mold seal or put any duct tape on it or anything. So the bottom of the silicone mold, it's just, this has already had a wick through it, but you can't tell because it kind of heals it up. It's like it's silicone, so it's like, a very soft kind of pliable material. So as soon as you poke through it, it heals itself up. Now, if we try to poke floral wire through here to thread it, it just bends and stuff. You could get a thicker floral wire. I mean, that would probably work and everything too, but it just bends and everything. So I get one of these big long upholstery needles. We do not sell these, but you can get these in probably any Walmart or sewing place or whatever. It's just a big long.
Same place you get your floral wire.
Same place you get, yeah. Yeah, it's just a big upholstery needle. So it's the biggest needle that has, an end on it and stuff. So with the eye hook. So what I would do in this, I would just poke it through the bottom here. So go straight in the center. This mold's nice. This is a little pumpkin mold. So this mold's nice because it actually has an indentation of where you should poke through. So you're just going to poke the needle through like that. And then we're going to get the wicking and thread that through the needle, which sounds a whole lot easier than it probably is. Christine's going to thread this through the needle because she's got much better vision than me and she's younger. We can also use the floral wire to do that. Easier. You can use this as the needle threader. You got it?
Yeah, we were just a little frayed, so that's the only conundrum we're going into. Frayed.
So we can just use, again, use our floral wire as a threader. So now our needle's threaded, right? And then instead of the floral wire, we have the needle poking through. So you would just bring the needle up and the mold threaded. So since you have to do that every time, you don't necessarily want to poke your silicone mold, especially because they're not cheap.
Yeah,
You don't want to poke your silicone mold each time.
Yes. You're definitely not going to get the right spot every time, so you're going to have
Exactly. Then you have multiple holes and stuff like that and everything, and it won't last as long if you just thread it once and leave your wicking out.
Should have done that before. I could have got through there.
Oh well, next time. All right, and then the same thing. It's all tight on the bottom, and I'll just put this wick bar at the top and put my needle through, and this is all ready to pour.
So this one's even easier since you don't have the mold seal or the duct tape on the bottom.
Exactly. It's easier in a way, harder because you have to poke the pin through and find the exact middle spot and everything like that, but easier in a way that
Long-term way.
long-term way it's easier. So then we have the wick and the roll hanging out. So every time I pull this candle out, it's going to pull the wick back up through, and then just cut the lengths that I need, and we're all set. So we'll demonstrate how to get this out. So I poured this earlier. This is our zombie groom, by the way, which you will see on our site soon.
Halloween molds.
Halloween molds, yeah. So I wick the mold, I poured the candle in, and then the wicking is out of the bottom here. It's still all attached. It's kind of like a magic trick. So, yeah. And then to release the silicone mold, so this is a taper mold. It's a wide taper.
So
And
it's
so it's
bigger
a
at
little
the,
bit
bigger
more
at the top
difficult.
and smaller
Yeah.
at the bottom.
Exactly. So sometimes they get to be a little tricky to demold.
So you're turning it inside out.
And kind of turn it inside out. I want to kind of pull the silicone mold away from the candle because it's got a lot of detail on it, and I don't want to rip those details off. I did spray it with mold release.
Yeah, I was going to say that's, even with the
key.
silicone, it's not as sticky, but
Yeah.
the mold release is still
Yeah.
needed.
And you just want to kind of peel it off nice and gently so that all of his stuff stays on. It's still semi-warm. I poured it probably 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago. So I don't want to break his head off live here on camera.
I mean, sometimes zombies don't have heads, so it could work.
Yeah. All right. Here comes his head. It's kind of like giving birth to a candle here. Again, I pull the candle out, undo that mold, and it's all wicked and ready to go. Cut my candle off. And I have a candle and a mold that's already wicked, like magic. I
Makes
don't
it
have
easy.
to go through all that again. So theoretically, I could just take this wick bar, put it right on, pour another candle in there.
Oh, it's the bride.
Oh, zombie bride, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And that's it. That's the easy way to how to wick a mold and stuff. If you guys have any questions, post them in there. We'll get to your questions hopefully.
So Gail says, I was always told to prime wick before making a candle.
Yeah, so that it goes both ways on pillars. So you prime the wick so that the wax gets in between the individual fibers, right? Wick is like just a
Burns
bunch
easier.
of threads.
Yeah.
And theoretically it should burn easier and stuff like that. So it's a good idea. You can also do this with primed wick. You can prime your wick and put it through there. I find though, when I prime the wick on like freestanding candles or whatever, they want to leak a little easier because you have the
Yeah.
amount of space that's on the wick. And then when you pour the hot wax in, the wax tends to leak out of the mold a little easier. So I typically use unprimed wicks, especially on silicone molds and novelty candles and stuff. Not that I wouldn't use a primed wick, I would still probably use a primed wick, especially this little pumpkin would probably do very well with a primed wick instead of just a flat cotton wick. Yeah, so you can use a primed wick or you can use a regular wick. I just think it stays in there, your molds leak less without primed wicks. So that was my reason for doing that, but that was a great question, thank you.
And I feel like sometimes too with like a prime wick, it burns a little nicer and cleaner, whereas like these type of things, you don't necessarily need.
They're never going to burn
that.
clean.
It's not going to,
Yeah, you're never going to get
it's not going to be perfect.
a great
so,
burn out of a novelty candle. So
Yeah, it might be a little easier without it.
yeah, exactly. Just make sure I get all that. Instagram's full of questions today. So.
Okay.
So we got everybody. So
Look at that. You explained
that's
it so
it for
well.
today.
So easy.
Nice and easy for today. So yeah, if you guys have any questions or if you're watching the replay, feel free to post it in there. If you like the videos and want to watch more, make sure to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button at the bottom and definitely give us a shout out and let you know you're here. Oh, somebody needs that mold. Yeah, Tammy, you're gonna love these
That's
molds. These
cool.
are pretty awesome. So we have a zombie bride and we have a zombie groom. We have a hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil skeleton taper.
Yeah.
We have a skull head. Of course, we have to do the skull heads. We have like skull embeds. We have pumpkins. What else do we have? Fun.
I think that was all of them.
Yeah. I feel like there was another. Oh, we have like to make car freshies. We have like a
Oh,
skeleton head to make car fresh. That one's a lot of fun. I can't wait to do that. So
Or you can make
and make
a
an ornament or something.
ornament, yeah.
Mhm. That's a fun mold. So they're all reasonably priced. I probably didn't buy enough of them because now that I'm playing with them, they're really cool. So anyway, that's cool. That's it for this week. So if you guys have any questions, keep posting them in there. And we will see you next week for another fun-filled episode here at Candles and Supplies.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week. Where's my leave button? I don't know how to turn this off.
38 to count.